Yo, what's up guys? How's everyone doing? Let me just close down these windows real quick. Don't want any messages to intrude on this stream. Guys, tell me again, please, are we live? How is the audio and video? Shout out to everyone here waiting for the stream to start. I cannot scroll down and see the chat, that's really annoying. Lots of people in here. Shout out to Ash Jones in VIP. Guys, oh wow. Today has not been one of the better days within crypto. Let's just pull up this chart here on Bitcoin. Not even today. It's been this whole week. It's been very bleak, and it's not been a fun trading environment. We're finally fast here, 4 flights for the win. We're finally leaving this $6,000 range, and we're not leaving it from the happy side. We're not leaving it going into the 7,000s. Instead, we are seeing potentially 5,000s once again. And I've made my thoughts about this very clear. We have... forgot my point now. That's really annoying. Oh wow, that's so... Okay, completely forgot now. Anyway, we do have the EMA crossover crossing bearish here. Again, I did make that video on the EMA cloud. EMA indicator. When you do cross bearish, that sell signal was given to us at about 6,300, high 6,300. We're now into the 6,100s, high 61s. Now guys, we've had this Ichi cloud. Let's just turn that on and hide the rest of these indicators because it might get a little bit confusing. And what I did mention in the stream, I think it was like 2 days ago, was that we're in this cloud, and it's good that we found support here. But there were some cautionary notes about this, and one of the biggest ones being that it's the first green cloud we've seen. So you don't want to trade reversals. I made this very clear many times already. You don't want to trade reversal patterns because it's dangerous. It's hard to call a reversal. It's much easier to trade continuation patterns. And so, what we would have wanted to see from this Ichi cloud, for future reference, so you know what you're looking at, is you want to see a quick bounce. So if I replay this chart now and go back to this candle, what we saw originally was this candle rising up, and this is where I said it looks like we've got hope here, something like that, but I'm not holding my breath, because really what you want to see is a dip into the Ichi cloud. You don't even want to see a close, alright, because if it closes there, that means you're trading there for a long time. You want to see it bounce up very quickly, very cleanly, and with volume. Neither of those things happened. I mean, we turned out to continue that pattern and just keep on moving forward, trading within this Ichi cloud. And so what that meant we formed was, some form of a bull flag, bear flag, bear pennant, whatever you want to call it. It was a continuation pattern within a downtrend. It wasn't a significant reversal. There was a higher chance of us going up from there, but it didn't happen, and so we did drop that Ichi cloud, and that's one of the most bullish factors we had, which in itself is very weak. Gone. It's thrown away, right? It's not relevant anymore. Now, there is only one sort of saving grace we have left. The Ichi cloud was supposed to be it. We do have the inverse head and shoulders. It's still not out of the picture. I had one person asking me within our VIP group, what would be, the absolute edge of when, we go bearish. And this level is it. It is it. This is why I titled the video, is Hope for Bitcoin Lost? If we drop below 6,100, we have invalidated the head and shoulders pattern. We've invalidated the Ichi cloud support. We've invalidated this uptrend, setting higher highs and higher lows. If we look at this trend line, let's take off this Ichi cloud now. If we look at this trend line that I've had drawn for a very long time now, I just extended it, I think last night or something. We've now fallen down to the support. It doesn't need to be exact. So we are on the support. We're seeing a bit of a bounce, all right? So this support line is valid. It's 3 points lying on the same line. If we go below that, we've broken that support line as well. Volume is okay. We are returning to levels of about $11.4 billion, and this is what we've seen fairly often in this price range. If I turn on the VPVR indicator, what we are going to see here, let me just scroll down here in my notes, what we are going to see here is that we do have a lot more trading volume within this range. So that is why I called, first of all, the 6,300 level, 6,400 level as being support. It turned out that was resistance, my bad, and that is because we had an Ichi cloud as support in that area. Now the next area I did call being the 6100, 6150 specifically. And we have bounced off this area. We do have increased trading volume, as we can see with the VPVR indicator, and so because of that, I did expect it being a potential area for support. Just because there's more, trading activity within this range, you would expect the bulls to at least defend it a little bit, or at least for the bears to stop selling within this range. Now guys, please let me know, do you want to see, let me know in the chat, do you want to see a video specifically on the VPVR indicator? Just type a 1 or something like that in the chat if you want a full tutorial on this. I have a huge backlog of indicators I want to make tutorials on, but I don't know what to prioritize. That said, the VPVR indicator has been among the best indicators lately, especially for predicting these price moves. I mean, look at that, you can see the support right now very clearly in front of you. But it is unfortunately one of the paid indicators, so this is why I haven't been sure on making a video specifically on this, because so many people can't access it. There is of course a free trial, you can get the trial, there's a link in the description for it, but it's behind a paywall, and that really does suck. I think you can get this indicator for free anyway, like if you pirate it or something, but I don't know how you do that. What else have I got here? Some really, a lot of other very interesting points. Yeah, so I mean, this rising wedge as well, I don't know how to draw the line, but, if we do draw this sort of resistance, this is going to get very confusing with all these lines in a second, so I'm going to take these off now. Have to say goodbye to these. I really did like these lines. I'm kind of upset I have to delete them. But if we do look at these lines here, we began forming another rising wedge. All right, so this is very rough, it doesn't have to be exact, I'm just trying to get the point across. So we've been in this rising wedge. Actually, the line was very different when I drew it prior to now. It was a lot more like this, and so we have dropped this support, and of course when we dropped it, when it rains it pours. All right, so we really did see a pretty big drop, especially relative to the previous weeks we've had in trading. We've dropped by 6,700 down to 61s, nearly $600 now, about 520 I guess. And given how stable, how unvolatile, if that's a word, trading patterns have been, so I see a lot of ones in this chat, that's great. Yeah, a lot of ones, yes, awesome. Okay, well, I will push that up. Does TradingView use turbulence cloud? I don't know what that is. Are you talking about the video that Alessio made? If so, I don't think it has that. You'll have to import that somehow. Yeah, Mastermind talking about the same thing. So we have dropped this rising wedge cloud. And that's quite significant, because really what we always think within these rising, every single one of them, I think this one I threw those ideas out completely, but for the rest of them I did give these ideas credit, and it's that maybe we're reversing now. Maybe this rising wedge is different, all right, setting higher highs and higher lows. And so really what that's done now, dropping below, has shown us that this pattern has not been different. It's turned out that we've just broken down yet again, and we're going to resume the downtrend. So back to this inverse head and shoulders point, because I did have to remove it very briefly. If I were to draw this again, it would make sense. All right, like I said, we are rising now. All right, since we've hit this trend line going, this rising wedge trend line, we have bounced off, and we could, especially considering the RSI. Let's look at that. It's not been a very useful indicator as of late, because the RSI was also oversold when we were in the 6300s, and it's at the same levels now, 6100s. But nevertheless, we have an oversold RSI, and Bitcoin typically doesn't stay oversold for too long. Over to the daily, and actually we're neutral here, so I thought we were much lower. My bad about that. The daily is telling us that we could even go a lot lower. I thought the daily was going to tell us we're much more bearish, so my bad, I didn't check that early enough. But as it stands, we could definitely see at least a short-term bounce up, and it would make sense, all right? Because when these longs and shorts get liquidated, they either get absolutely destroyed, like it happened on April the 12th. If I go to the shorts chart and show that to you guys who maybe didn't see the chart at the time, this was one of the biggest short squeezes Bitcoin has ever seen. So it was down from 40,000 contracts to 23,000, so nearly cut those shorts in half, and that was from a pump. Let's go over to the Bitcoin chart and show you that. Again, April the 12th here, that was from a pump going from 6,800 up to a high of 8,040, something like that. So that's a huge $1,200 pump. And of course, it did liquidate those shorts. So what we're either seeing are sort of slow periods of longs getting wrecked a little bit, liquidated, but not, huge short or long liquidations like we saw back on April the 12th. And so what we are seeing right now is a more controlled sort of liquidation, short and long squeeze. And so I don't think we can expect a big move like that. I'm going to get onto that in a little bit more detail in just a minute though. But, like I did say, we're running out of options to stay bullish here. The Ichi cloud, this inverse head and shoulders. This is our last sort of thing, all right? Because we've got the trend line support and we've got the inverse head and shoulders. And if this doesn't play out, if the right shoulder goes below the left shoulder by a significant margin, this pattern is invalidated. If it were to go down to about 6,000, I don't think we can count that as being the right shoulder. Maybe we can. Say we dip down to about 5,800, which I think we will do now, and this is not relevant anymore. So that's why I really do have a lot more of a bearish stance right now. Dimitri asking, can you clarify what the y-axis means on the longs and shorts chart? Okay, so let's take a look at that before I do continue on. And really what it is just the number of contracts, the number of orders that are long in this case. So we've got 34,000 long orders that are active on Bitfinex. And as for shorts, very simply, again, it's just 22,000 shorts active on BitMEX right now. We don't know how much volume is behind each of these contracts, which is a huge problem. It could be that each of these shorts are just worth $1, whereas each of the longs are worth $20, or rather vice versa, where the shorts are worth a lot more, but there are less of them. And so overall, there's more, riding on the short orders. We don't know that, so it's a lot more difficult, but it's nice to get a sort of quick overview, a gauge of where people are putting their money, especially retail traders who tend to get wrecked. When the longs go pretty high, they get squeezed a little bit, and really we have seen that going down from, levels of about 6,700, which we saw as our prior peaks, and we have been rejected by 6,800 now 7 times, and so there is no reason really at all that we're going to rise above that again unless we get another pump like we saw on April the 12th, and that's not something you can bank on. That's not something that should really take a lot of weight, because this happens out of the blue and literally no one expects it apart from the group of people or the person who decided to pump it in that way. No one else can know, and so of course it makes sense to expect it. Once again, I'm going to get back to that in just a second. Blockwolf, please give us hope. I wish I could, my friend, but we've got to stay realistic right now. I will get to that in just a second though, because it does look possible. But as for that, what else have I had to cover? See if you guys have got any questions before I do carry on. Give me a second. Okay, I think we're back on. What else? So yeah, I mean, really, we did, and about this rising wedge, one last thing, very similar to the Ichi cloud. What we needed to see was a quick bounce up to validate that Ichi cloud, because when you're trading these, you don't want to see trading patterns within an Ichi cloud. What that means is there's no strength from the bulls to take it higher, or if you're bearish and you go into a red cloud and you start trading within that red cloud, there's no strength from the bears to continue that sell-off. I don't know if that made sense, but what we're seeing right now, perhaps with the exception of this blue candle, which could very easily just turn out to be a wick and we start going down, is that in a case where we're supposed to bounce back up very cleanly and very quickly, pardon me, is we're just forming the same kind of a pattern we've seen play out many times already, and so what that does mean is we're probably forming another continuation pattern before we continue to go down. Maybe this even goes on to where this trend line support really does fall. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exact, but it is very possible. Now guys, yesterday in VIP I did have a feeling, I think I put out a signal when we were about over here, just before we had this dump, saying that I believe we're going to get a market movement very soon. And the reason I said that, the reason I called it right before it happened, was that we generally don't go sideways for this long, and it was starting to feel very weird, especially going sideways like this. There is literally no period of time that this has happened, maybe save for this, but this was actually a falling wedge, so it was a natural pattern. This was all just bots, all the human traders being scared out of the market once again, and so I did expect a big move, and so we did have a stop short and a stop long order just in case we did end up going long, but I did say that I'm leaning bearish, and of course this is the signal that hit gold after the dump actually happened. So we do have a bit of profits from there. If you guys are interested in VIP, then do hit me up in the Telegram channel. I leave my name at the bottom of those posts. And really, what we are seeing, again, just considering we don't have relative strength at the moment from the bulls, you look at the buy volume of the previous flag. I know it was just pretty much a doji, but previous green candle in this case, the buy volume is very weak compared to these sell-offs, and so that does mean the bulls are in hiding right now. The bulls are nowhere to be found, and unless we get a BART back up, just because, and I think it's likely this time, by the way, because it's gonna reinstate that hope of an inverse head and shoulders. It's gonna give the RSI a bit of room to go up. It would make sense, we've had two sell-offs now that we go up a little bit. We have some sort of a reaction rally, potentially BART back up into the 6,300 range, maybe form a pattern like we did right at the same levels. When we dropped down to about 58, we traded there for a little bit, and then we BARTed back up into the 61, 6,200 levels. I think it's very possible right now, and so just because of that, this is still not a good area to be trading, in my opinion. Like I say, I'm very happy to lose out on these profits, especially because I'm trading on margin. Like 80% of the battle is knowing when not to trade. It doesn't make sense to be over trading on BitMEX. You need to know when to stand back and when to trade as well. Really, if you do get too aggressive with this, you're going to get reckless and you will lose your money. I mean, BitMEX is incredibly dangerous as a trading platform, and so this is a very typical mistake you see traders make. Okay, I hate being bearish, and I'm going to stop now. One thing to bear in mind is this ETF news that might be right around the corner. Let me scroll down in the chat so I can keep up with this. We have this ETF news that might be right around the corner. We have a lot of people talking about this and hyping it up quite a lot. Now, like I've said previously, it is because of that people are talking about it a lot and saying, oh, it could start the next bull run, stuff like that. It's because of that I don't think it's going to give us very significant price movements. If anything, I think it's going to give us a temporary bull run, but it's not going to be sustained, and it may even just trigger a rising wedge like this, very easily, and so that wouldn't be any sustained sort of trends. We would definitely trade it. All right, ETF news would give us a nice pump, hopefully, but of course I could even be wrong about that. I mean, ETF is not anything to be taken lightly. It's just that, like I said in the last stream, it is not a case that people who aren't in the market yet want to come in to pump our bags. Let me put my phone on silent here. I always forget to do this. It's not that people are going to come in the market and they are going to want to pump our bags, all right? They're coming in, hopefully trying to get the best prices they can to make profits themselves. I don't know why this is an alien concept to so many people, thinking that ETFs are going to save us. These people want profits themselves, and they're not going to give it to us. So, It's and you also, going back to the bullish side, we look at how most technical analysts are very bearish right now, saying similar things to what I am. I haven't had a chance to look at them, but briefly glossing over what I've seen on Twitter, a lot of people are very bearish right now, just given how we've dropped this rising wedge, we've dropped a lot of support levels, and really we don't have any. The weakest thing left, the inverse head and shoulders, is the only thing we have to save us. Now, potentially this could be continuing the sequence of setting higher lows and higher highs. So if I were to remove this trend line, remove this one for the sake of simplicity as well, what we could be seeing are higher lows and higher highs, which is a good sign, but it still means we're in a rising wedge. Now, guys, like I said, we've got a lot of technical analysts being very bearish right now. It's kind of fashionable again. And so it would make sense for that switch to flip and send us on at least a small bull run. This is where I said I'll get back to it in a minute. We could definitely see a move like April 12 happening again with the ETF news. Now, we have a date being thrown around, August the 10th. Personally, if there is a date, with speculation that the ETFs could be approved at that day, I guarantee nothing will happen on that day, just because we already have a date in mind. It's not going to happen, but we do have this news looming around, SIBO filing for, I think I said a word wrong and someone picked on it and kind of said I need to do research. They're either fighting for it or asking for it, I don't know, I forgot, but we've got these big names trying to get ETFs now, and this is good, but it's I don't know. I think it's just going to start another rising wedge like this at the very most. If anything, just considering how expected this news is, how expected it is to start a bull run, I think it might even do nothing. Honestly, I mean, just honestly speaking. But, of course, no doubt, if it does happen, we will be trading it and of course, making profits on it going long and different things like that. And, of course, if ETFs do trigger another sort of rising wedge like this, it's going to give us a nice opportunity to trade alts. And so we would be flipping those a little bit as well for nice low-risk trades with decent profits. So I'm pretty much done here. I just want to take a quick look at the alt market again, and we've got more blood. So I went on a bit of a run. I think it was like 2 days ago, and continued losses. I mean, did you expect anything else? Switch to the Bitcoin price here, so you can see how badly it's been doing. Save for the top sort of 15, some of them being neutral and others being slightly in the green. We do have broad losses. I mean. ICX, I think ICX is gone, like absolutely gone now. I want to check that out actually, because last time I did look at it on stream, it failed all of its support levels, and okay, so it is at that, yeah, so it's right on that line right now. We probably have a lot of buy orders over here on Binance, so if I flip on the VPVR, I'm sure that would tell us a similar story. Go over to the daily here. So actually, no, so we don't have much trading volume in this area, and that actually, yeah, that would fit in, because if we look at the 24-hour volume, 11.4 billion, the thing with all of these alts right now, something you should all be aware of if you want to trade them, is that they have very thin order books. Alright, so if you want to buy, say you want to buy 1 Bitcoin worth of an alt, there's a very high chance that you're going to send the price flying very high, just from, a $6,000 order. And I say just, many people might say, wow, that's amazing, right? But, we're talking about the trading world, where $6,000 is nothing, right, for a lot of people. So, this is what you call a low liquidity problem. It's where if you want to sell 1 Bitcoin worth of ICX, you would also send the price crashing, because there's no buyer support, there's no seller support or seller resistance, I guess. And so what that does mean is prices can be moved very easily. This applies way more even to KuCoin and other sort of KuCoin coins on that exchange. So really, what we've got, let's consider this is the bottom. This is a huge buying opportunity. I mean, if we look at the risk to reward ratio, buying right now, assuming that ICX would go back to all-time highs, and assuming the floor is where it started trading on Binance, we've got a risk to reward ratio of 5, and that is very, very good. I mean, that's a 300% gain. Unfortunately, you can't go long on this and multiply that gain. But nevertheless, you'd be a fool to complain about 300% gains, in my opinion. And you look at how fast it rose up last time. It's possible it does the same thing again. I don't think it will, but let's not rule it out. And so we are either looking at a very good opportunity, or just continued very bleak outlook in the alt market. And of course, everything will follow Bitcoin. So like I said, it does look overarchingly bearish right now. Is overarching the right word? I don't know. Something like that. It's like very bearish on the whole right now, and of course, if Bitcoin is bearish, so are the alts. So really, we're seeing a lot more losses here. Very small losses on the whole against Bitcoin's price. Of course, Bitcoin is down in USD today, so everything else is going to be around about the same, down in terms of USD. Really, no alts are giving us some breathing space. Maybe a few like Dignity again. I mean, this is one that isn't pegged to Bitcoin in any way. it's actually pegged to gold. But Dignity is having a very bad day at negative 32%. So I am, of course, very glad to have sold. Dignity is a coin that moves very quickly, and it's a bit dodgy right now without a market cap number or circulating supply, so we will have to figure out that. Overwhelmingly, thank you very much. That's the word I was looking for, undone sums. Ouch, ICX going down hard. Right, and it's a great coin, right? You look at the fundamentals, but fundamentals aren't saving the market right now, because if they were, Bitcoin would be at 20k. So, it is a lot of the technicals, a lot of the sentiment. It's another thing to bear in mind, like I always say, is we could be in that disbelief stage. You're hearing it in me. I'm being very bearish at a time where we've seen the trend really narrowing down. We still haven't broken market structure. This would make sense to be the disbelief rally. If we were to go up to 7.8k, of course we get sentiment emotionally rubber banding, going from depression to euphoria just like that. But I think there would still be a lot of disbelief in the space, and so it would make sense that we have actually started that very slow ascension upwards. Really, it does depend on if 5800 is breached. If we do bounce off from here, when the ETF news comes out, we're on the 12th of June right now, August coming around in about 20 days. A lot of things can happen in that time. I'm seeing people already predicting what's going to happen by the end of the month, and in my opinion, that's just a bit ridiculous. We're not even halfway into July. It just doesn't make sense to be predicting what the whole trend for July could be. Of course, as you guys know, I do this by trading the dailies, seeing what's going to happen tomorrow, maybe the day after at the very most, and making profits that way, because the profits are absolutely huge, and generally it turns out to be right. So, not a bad strategy at all, in my opinion. People are shilling their shitcoins on here. Yeah, do you know what? I think I've noticed that a little bit. So, not good at all. I mean, I get it, right? People want to pump their shitcoins and get them to go up a little bit, but it's, like I say, nothing is going to happen in this kind of a market. ETF 10 August, yeah, I got some more of that. Bullish on Dentacoin. Triple bottom coming. We've already formed the triple bottom, man. Oh, if you mean a mid-term, sort of short-term triple bottom, okay, so that would make sense, if you go back to the 4-hour. So I think you're talking about a triple bottom kind of like this. Maybe we hit 5800 and then bounce up. I mean, look, like I say, I don't think that's going to be a pattern that we see playing out. You do need a few things for a triple bottom. You need an established downtrend, which we obviously do have, but you also need them to be about equally spaced out. And right now, this has gone on for too long, so it does violate that sort of market structure thing, and I think that's quite important. There are only a few set parameters for a triple bottom, very few at that, rather, and it's already violated one of them. So I don't see it playing out. But we throw on the inverse chart, for example. I did do it quite a while back. Let's see how I do that, because I have forgotten. Okay, so I think that's it. Go over to the daily, and it's the same deal here that I mentioned quite a while back. I'm sure some people might not have seen this as viewers, but this is Bitcoin's chart flipped vertically, and so what we are seeing right now is, if we assume it's in a massive downtrend, which of course we know in reality is an uptrend, but switch on the log chart to make this a little bit more bearable, and what you would typically say looking at a chart like this, especially you remove the bias, all right. If you just look at this, what it looks like is we've had 1, 2, 3, I didn't count that right, so yeah, 3, 4, 5, going on a 6th rejection of this resistance line, and so that would mean that we're actually going to trend lower. We've been rejected by this line so many times. It's a continuation pattern within a very long downtrend, and so you would expect us to break down very, very soon, especially you consider volume going down within a trend while price is moving in a specific direction, and so that does indicate a reversal. It does indicate that volume is going to start picking up again and price is going to reverse the direction that it's going, in this case being that it's going to go down, and for our real charts that means it's going to Bitcoin's price is going to go up. Really, you know, it does depend on if we breach this line. I think if we breach 5800, that is the most bearish sign Bitcoin has seen this year, and that would seal it off completely. Really, I mean, there is no doubt beyond 5800 if it breaks this resistance, shall we say. You know, if we were trading this like a conventional chart and we see a break of structure like this going up, to many traders that would mean that we've actually broken out and we've reversed and we've started to form another trend going upwards. We'd be in a bull market according to this chart, and so we'd start trending upwards, which of course in our case means going down in price. So really, you know, a lot still does hang on this chart. It's still, you know, very hard to say what's going to happen. This is why I said I'm still neutral, of course leaning bearish at the moment, but it does depend on how these price movements do play out over the mid and short term. Lord of the Four Flies trapped in the window of crypto. That's hilarious. Where do I subscribe to Christian Fontana's YouTube channel? I have no idea, mate. Never heard of him. Capitulation time then. Trader DJ, the capitulation will be huge. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, it will be huge, especially, you know, like I say, you consider all of this emotional rubber banding. Not going to be easy. Oh, Christian Fontana is someone in the... Oh, okay. I have no clue. Right, that's funny. What does my name Four Flies mean? There's a band or a duet called Time Flies Tuesday, and I like their music. I don't know where the 4 comes from though. What else have we got? I can be... Okay, so we've just got a little bit of arguing. I'm going to kind of ignore this. But I mean, apart from that, I pretty much covered everything I wanted to within this stream. Really not much else to go over. And if we look at this sort of short-term trend, like I said, we should have bounced up already. We are sort of retracing downwards again, so it doesn't look like this blue candle is going to mean that we bought back up. If it does happen, if and when it does happen, it's going to be a lot slower. It's going to be a lot quicker than we have seen right now, and you probably won't even have time to trade it. So, you know, what could be a good strategy is to set some sort of maybe a stop market long for about $6,223. You can ride it up to about this level and start closing your long there, and of course alternatively set a stop market short, you know, just below our trading levels right now. And this is a very good strategy to do for the whole trend when we start these sideways movements, but it gets a little bit more difficult when we have patterns like this one where it's a falling wedge and we get a lot more human trading action. Ash Jones, he's actually helped people make phenomenal gains in the bear market. His age has nothing to do with experience. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I get you. To be honest, I wouldn't trust a 16-year-old myself. It's, you know, I deal with them on a daily basis, but I know a lot of other 16-year-olds who do great stuff. They're just too few and far between, so we get a bit of a bad image. How do you time a dip? Well, like I said, this one went on for quite a long time, and if we look at the previous patterns within the past 30 days, we never really have had a period of stability like this, so I was pretty sure at that point. I wasn't entirely sure though, so what I did do was calculate how long we were actually in this pattern, including the time for the dump, and that was 1 day and 16 hours, and so the only thing that did compare was this one, which was 2 days and 4 hours, but you consider that's a real human pattern, it doesn't really count. And so this one went on for a lot longer than the previous ones, so I did expect us to make a significant move very soon. It just doesn't go sideways like this for very long on Bitcoin. Charts don't like shorts chart going up. I think Fontana's creating a lot of controversy in this chat, so I'm going to go ahead and you know, put him in his place a little bit. But guys, you know, with that, I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to in this stream. You know, like I say, for the short term, it's looking bearish, but we could have some sort of reversal. Again, we look at the very long-term chart, we look at that log chart reversed, and it's a very bullish scenario for Bitcoin. So really, above all, what we need to see is a break of market structure. We need to go below 5,800 to tell us we're very bearish, and until that happens, you know, if we go above 6,800, that's a very good bullish sign. We've been rejected 7 times. So if on the 8th try or the 9th or 10th, whatever it takes, we actually do break it, that's a very, very good sign for the market. Apart from that, though, if we do drop below 5,800, that's broken market structure. It's very bearish for Bitcoin. So guys, that's my stance for today. I really hope it has helped you out. Hope you've learned something. Hope you've gained something. Make sure to smash those likes if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter. And of course, guys, please be sure to subscribe and tick the bell if you haven't already. But with that, I'm out. Peace.